In college, did you ever have a silent crush on a senior like that? Quietly sending him a friend request was rejected. It's so hard to be friends and he ignores your messages. Even later on, he removed you from his friends list. It was expected that the two would never cross paths. However, in an accident, you and he had a surprisingly close encounter. The atmosphere became subtle and tense. The moment the two looked at each other, you had fantasized about what might happen next, yet you were interrupted by the senior's rude yelling. It turns out that sometimes people do imagine a little too much. Even though it's only a brief intimate encounter, it sends you into a reverberating fantasy. Although this is not the ideal place to start. But fortunately, this unexpected incident has brought you closer to your senior. The two had more private time together as a result. The first time he was in private with his senior, the junior was still a little nervous. Instead of thinking twice about it, the senior invited the junior to join him in washing his paint-stained clothes. Sizzling summer, youthful body, full of hormonal scent. After a bit of conversation, the two were getting acquainted. The joy of boys is so simple, isn't it? A friendship that was once fought to the death has made the two inseparable. The schoolboy even helped the senior Pen wash his hair in a close relationship, bringing them closer together. However, with the schoolboy looking back on the good times on his way home, instead, he found that what happened next began to bother him. The two re-added the senior's best friend. Instead, he realized that after 10 hours or so, the senior's messages to him were already read and unanswered. This left the schoolboy in a state of delinquency. Why did the senior suddenly become detached when it was clear that some common stories had occurred? It's sad that Zero will be more bitter when it comes to crushes. 1 second he was complaining to himself, blaming the senior for not returning to him when he had already read it. The next moment, he's all happy about meeting his favorite person and a new story. For losing the game, the two are forced to wear concentric locks. According to the rules of punishment, two grown men must be locked together everywhere they go, even to the bathroom. At the time of release, the schoolboy gave the senior a quiet glance and summoned up the courage to ask him, why does he always fail to respond to his read messages? For a big straight senior, if you don't want to go back, you don't want to go back. What's the point? The senior's impatient words instantly hurt the junior's heart. But what could be done? The schoolboy can only humbly hold his tongue. Just out of the restroom, the two of them were so sticky that the other students saw them. This senior, who is not usually angry with Pen, he instantly seized on this point to mock his orientation. How could Pen resist that? So he punched back. The schoolboy watched and rushed over to talk it out, but he was pushed to the ground by the senior. Seeing that his schoolmate was injured, Pen couldn't stand it anymore and directly fought hard with the senior. However, the result of the fight was that the two of them turned into pig heads. Looking at the senior who stood up for himself, the junior actually felt a little happy. He also took the wet tissue from his bag and wiped off the blood around his mouth a little bit for the senior. Looking at his junior's serious eyes, the senior was actually somewhat inexplicably moved, but it quickly turned into teasing. Who knew that the schoolboy was not to be outdone and was beginning to learn to fight back? One by one, both of them laughed so much, and their relationship was slowly drawn closer without them realizing it. It's amazing how two people who are not related in the slightest in life actually cross paths. Have you ever seen such a proactive schoolboy? He confessed his love on the spot. The first time he went to his senior's house and kissed him right on the spot. When he first entered the room, he was a little embarrassed and couldn't find anything to talk about. But the sudden power outage created just the right opportunity for the two. The dark room was lit up with candles by the senior, and the flickering candlelight actually had a romantic feeling. This is the perfect time to confess your love to your senior, isn't it? See the vibe getting better. But as a straight man, Senior Pen instinctively digresses, trying to distract his schoolmate, who knows that the schoolboy doesn't give a damn, and says straight out that he'll talk about what's going on between us first. After saying that he even went over to kiss the senior, the suddenness of what happened left Senior Pen defenseless. He's a big straight guy. How could he let his schoolmates do these things? In the face of the senior's escape, the junior stayed where he was like a child who had made a mistake and didn't know what to do. After some calming down, the senior finally walked over. This night, the schoolmaster did not refuse or agree. It's a good thing the men and women are finally together with the help of the two of them. At the end of the mission, Senior Pen was so hot that he took off his clothes. And naturally, schoolboys don't miss the chance to feast their eyes, looking at his junior like a hungry wolf pouncing on him. The senior was so scared that he immediately buttoned up. In the schoolboy's mind, the fact that the senior didn't refuse that night was tacit consent, so it was only natural for him to ask the senior to be closer to him as an object. That's like getting the hang of it, isn't it? Senior Pen also dropped what he was doing and stared at his junior from close range. Seems like it was a bit of a couple for a while. This drunk suddenly grabbed the schoolboy's ass and got punched by the senior and didn't forget to curse him up. Facing the repeated provocations of the drunken man, the senior finally exploded, and also the boyfriend pulled his junior forward. This heroic love-like scene intoxicated the schoolboy for a time. At dinner, the schoolboy solemnly thanked the senior again, who knew that Senior Pen laughed until he sputtered. To him, it was obviously a trivial matter of no consequence, but there's no doubt that the two are also inadvertently drawn closer together. After school, the senior was full of joy waiting for his junior to leave class, who knew that he would see his schoolmate glued to another man. Turns out Star wanted to ask his schoolmate to a photo contest. Looking at their intimate appearance, a sour and jealous taste instantly surged through the senior's heart. Being possessive made him become very angry and lost his temper and walked away. It was only after his schoolmate's soft words that it slowly got better. Back home, his dad, who hasn't seen him for a long time, suddenly asks about Pen's love life. Peng hurriedly explained that his girlfriend had gone away for an internship and couldn't come back for a while. I thought I had escaped my dad's questioning, but then my schoolmate came to visit again, fearing that his father might see something. Mr. Pen hurriedly dismissed his junior and headed out. He also warned the schoolboy not to talk to his own father. Seeing the senior desperately trying to clear his relationship with himself, the junior's heart instantly did not feel good. On this journey, he was even more unusually sullen in his expression. It's only after the senior presses him to confess that he told Pen's dad about them. This infuriated the senior, so he immediately dragged his junior out of the car. That comment knocked the schoolboy straight back. Is all this ambiguity and affection really worth nothing to straight men? He had thrown down the gauntlet with his schoolmate 1 second, only to regret it the next. He also hurriedly looked around the school for his schoolmate, but he still could not see him. Had the schoolboy really disappeared from his world? Just thinking about it made Senior Pen want to cry. He had to foolishly wait from day to night, but nothing came of it. He returned home lost, only to find that his schoolmate was actually at his house. It turns out that the schoolboy was just testing at the time and didn't tell Papa Peng about them. Seeing the senior looking for himself all over the world, the junior finally decided not to pursue the matter any further. He also gave him more time and space to learn to accept love for himself. On his way out, the schoolboy even slyly teased the senior. This operation directly left the senior speechless. So the next day, the senior was dutifully downstairs ready to pick up his junior from school, who knew there was a light bulb halfway to Star. Love rivals always beat each other. At the thought of his date being ruined by Star, Pen is half-hearted to Star. He first flirted with the idea of not being allowed to go to the place where he ate because it wasn't good. Later, Mr. Pen excused himself by saying that the back seat of the car was very narrow and not suitable for him. Who knows, Star accepts them all. As soon as we arrived at the eating place, Pen started to find all kinds of trouble with Star again. He has to forcefully insert himself into Star's photographic journey with his schoolmates at the end. And so the three-man Shura is officially on. Before Star could react, Brother Pen made the first move. He deliberately interacted sweetly in front of him, who knew that Star was no slouch and immediately resorted to a bitter trick. At the end of the day, Star had a close encounter with the schoolboy. How could Elder Pen stand to see this image? He immediately puts on strong brakes for no reason, immediately ruining Star's plans, after saying that he even deliberately tricked his schoolmate into coming to the front seat, really not giving Star a chance. These three also sleep in the same bed at night, in order to prevent his schoolmates from having their food stolen. The senior also used an artificial lock, who knew he was still being taken advantage of by Star. The next day, Star took his schoolmate out early, leaving him alone. At night, in order to gamble, Senior Pen even played pretend to disappear, which made his junior nervous. As soon as the schoolboy found him, he was crying, so it seems that the trick was successful. On the way home, the schoolboy was accidentally bitten by a snake. In order to trick his schoolmate, the senior deliberately lied to him that this would require an emergency amputation. Turns out the snake is non-venomous. Not realizing that this could be used as a joke, the schoolboy left angrily. But by the time Elder Pen realized his mistake, Star had already taken advantage of the situation. Looking at the ambiguous image of the two in the tent, Senior Peng felt the taste of heartache for the first time. How scheming is this man? It's amazing how much you have to dig up a corner in order to get a schoolmate. The relationship between the two was already shaky, and suddenly Star intervenes. The insecure schoolboy came to the scene anyway. Sure enough, he saw Senior Peng eating with a schoolmate, and messaging him was directly ignored. It's surprisingly funny to think back to the vows that were made. It's amazing that he gets this in return for his sincere efforts. Just as the schoolboy is sad and vulnerable, Star counts the minutes and takes advantage of the situation around the corner. He immediately stepped forward and hugged his injured schoolmate, not forgetting to add fuel to the fire while comforting him. And the scene just happened to be seen by the senior. Star is possessive and looks provocatively at Senior Pen. No matter what means were used, he would keep his schoolmate in his grasp. In the following days, Senior Pen was somewhat inexplicably lost, watching his schoolmate and start flirting. A sour and jealous taste actually surged to his heart. Calm down, Senior Pen finally squatted to the schoolmate who asked him to dinner in the first place. He also called his schoolmates to confront her on the spot. It turns out that the schoolgirls turn out to be actors hired by Star. What's even more unbelievable is that Star is trying to break them up. He even used a female number to tease Peng all the time during this time. With that, Senior Pen pulls Star out of the classroom and slaps him across the face. After saying that, he pulled his schoolmate out of the room in a boyfriendly manner. The schoolboy who got the confession contentedly pulled Senior Pen and left. With the help of the two of them, the heroes and heroines are also finally together.